Shalom, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Pulse of Israel here in the ancestral and eternal homeland of the Jewish people, the Judean hills of the land of Israel. Today I am with Yehoyachim Kuntz. Shalom, Yehoyachim. How are you?
Shalom, Avi. Thank you. Fine. And you?
Very well, thank God. And for those people who are unfamiliar, Yehoyachim is a representative of a political party in Germany who sits in the European Union. And
Parliament.
it's always
in the Parliament.
The European Union Parliament. Thank you.
Okay.
And it is always wonderful hearing your insight. So thank you for availing yourself to me for us to be able to understand a little bit more of things that happen with regards to Israel in Europe and the European Union Parliament. Today, I'm reaching out to you because it's been reported in some of the Israeli news, not the mainstream media, unfortunately, but in other news channels like Channel 20, that there are a number of organizations in Israel who are behind the anti-Netanyahu rallies that have been taking place over the past few months, and they receive government funding from funds run by the German government as well as other governments. I mean, I have here the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation, which is from Germany, over $45,000. The Heinrich Boyle Foundation, also funded by the German government, over $11,000. The ZFD Foundation, another German government funded fund of over $13,000. Then there's from Switzerland, Norway, Danish funding. What can you give us some insight into what is going on? And are they familiar that their money is going to be very political, anti-Netanyahu, or actively organizations that are actively anti-Netanyahu?
Yes, that's. I think I was very surprised to hear of this news. That could not be that your prime minister is protested against violently before his home, and when it's right that the money for these protesters comes from EU funds or German funds, then that's really a problem. I cannot speak about the German societies and funds and money which is going there, but I can speak on the EU funds because I am a rapporteur for the 2019 report for the discharge of the Commission, the European Commission, and that's a big issue because all the money which goes to Europe, it's more than 150 billion a year. It goes through the Commission, and this Commission has very much organizations like it's called DGs, and these general directories will give money to NGOs, and I will look into this, and I have now the names of the NGOs, especially some organizations like Human Rights Defenders Fund, HRDF, which is getting money from 2019, which is the time I am looking into, which gets more than 600,000 euros. And that is a tremendous amount. And I will look into this and get to the files in the offices here in Brussels. And I hope to find that it is valid what the accusations which the newspapers did. I'm not sure if it's correct, but because there are the German ambassador and the European officers and authorities, they didn't they negate these accusations. But let's see. I have the possibility to look behind the walls. I can get files which are classified, and therefore it's very very possible that I will get the right information. And after that, I will give it to the public, because all the things which I am finding will be on the Parliament's authorities, on the Committee for Budget Control. And we have a meeting in January, at the end of January, and there I can open up these cases. And before it's classified, but after this time in this meeting, I think I can get the things out, and let's see what I can find. And then the world knows if really the EU is funding terrorism or protesters against criminal protesters against the Prime Minister and so on. Let's see what we can find.
Wow, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I forgot to add that in the introduction about you, that, yeah, you sit on I don't remember the exact name, but a budgetary committee of the European Union Parliament. Yes. So you are in a position, as you described, to be able to actually do the research and find out the actual information, which money is being given to where. Wow, that's unbelievable. So thank you, first of all, for taking this issue seriously and taking your time and resources to look into it. Again, I look at it as a Jew, as an Israeli, saying, "Oh my God, how horrible the European Union countries are funding very political activities in Israel." This is definitely political, anti-Netanyahu rallies. But from your perspective, it's, wait a second, European Union citizens' tax money is being wasted and spent by the European Union and European countries in ways that do not fulfill the needs of Europeans. So that's an important perspective from your work. Now, you mentioned 150 billion euros. What is that 150 billion euros being spent on? I didn't catch that.
It's the money it's the whole of the EU money, which goes more than 30% go to the farmers in the European Union. Yeah, and more than 30% of this money goes to so it's called cohesion politics, that bringing the different countries, the different people together to minimize the problems in underdeveloped countries and taking the money of the developed countries to give them and so on. It's a great machinery for distributing money inside the European Union. But much of the money, I think it's approximately 20 to 30 billion a year, goes outside the European Union. And from this money, there is much, there are really 100 million and more, which are going to the Palestinian authorities and other NGOs, which are and which should help to develop these entities. But I am very skeptical about the real approach and the real use of this money, because I found when I visited Israel last year that there are many projects which are misused, are not in the good thing. Which at the beginning it was a good plan, but afterwards the money went wrong, and that's the problem we have. And I am looking I'm the rapporteur in the Committee for Budget Control. That's the name, Committee for Budget Control. And there all the money which goes through the hands of the EU is checked, and we can look into all cases, and therefore, I am especially look for the NGOs which are oftentimes misusing money, and therefore that's my duty and my task to look into in the next weeks.
And again, just to introduce to other people, I met you on your visit to Israel last year when you were introduced to a lot of paperwork showing how European Union funding was going toward, under the guise of helping the Palestinian Arabs, but it really much was going against agreements that you signed agreements going against the Oslo Accords. You joined us on a trip through Judea and Samaria, and you saw how European Union funding was being used to create new communities and new roads that were outside of agreements, that really an abuse of European taxpayer money. So again, just giving everyone an appreciation and understanding that this is something you're actually concerned about. You saw with your own eyes, and again, thank you so much for being active and looking into it. And hopefully, you know what tools you have to then hopefully bring a stop to the abuse of European Union funding against these agreements and against against Israel and very much politically. Anything else you can add to us about this conversation before I just say thank you again, Joachim?
Yeah, I will really try to get solid and fact-based information to answer the question which is raised from the journalists. Is the EU really funding terrorists and other things which are not eligible, which are not good for the people in Israel and which are not good for the EU taxpayer, yeah. And therefore, I will look into it, and that's my pledge to do it. And okay, let's see, and let's speak about it next time.
That would be great to get an update from you.
Yeah, okay.
That would be wonderful. And listen, I am as a proud religious Jew, I am a big believer in a Jewish concept called hakarat hatov, giving over appreciation, having an attitude of gratitude, being thankful. And with all of my complaints against the European Union over the years, a number of weeks ago, the European Union actually deserves a thank you. So I will use you as my representative for the European Union. Okay. Because they threatened to withhold funding to the Palestinian Authority when the Palestinian Authority was asking for more funds. Specifically, I know the Palestinian Authority has refused to accept tax revenues that Israel was trying to transfer to it out of protest for Trump's deal of the century, and they've gone to the European Union for loans, and the European Union finally said, "Wait a second.
We don't
get with the program, but you shouldn't be asking us for money anymore. You have the money from your tax revenues from the Israeli government," and they threatened to withhold. So I don't know where that went, but that was the first time we really saw the European Union standing up and saying and putting a stop sign in front of the Palestinian Authority, saying, "Hold on a second, not everything's kosher here." So that deserves a thank you.
You are welcome. I think it's the fruits of the work which some really involved MEPs, as members of parliament, are doing. And I think, look, I hope it will not be the last time that you can be thankful for these some developments, some good things which are coming.
Joachim Kunz, thank you very, very much. European Union Parliament member from the German party AfD. Stay safe and stay healthy, Joachim. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Avi. You are welcome, and it was a great pleasure to meet you again.
Shalom, and here I am signing off from the eternal and ancestral homeland of the Jewish people for another Pulse of Israel. Shalom, everybody.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.